Alright, so welcome to the Bulo hard mode healing guide. My name is Ralos and we'll be playing Merc heals for this fight. So at the beginning of the fight you want to make sure that you're doing as much DPS as possible. This way you actually do something useful rather than standing around doing overhealing. And in general, you should look for opportunities to do this anytime that you can in a fight. So at this point we're standing in two groups, some on the left, some on the right, by the ramps, so that we can drop a purple circle when it spawns as near as possible to the pirates that spawn on top. This makes the tank's job much easier when he comes around with the pirates to kite them into the circle. So now carts and load lifters are out. I look at who the load lifters are on. They're on Mikey. So I already have him targeted when he takes the damage so that I can heal him up as fast as possible. Now I'm healing back up Fascinate because he pulled aggro off the tanks. At this point, I basically am just topping off the raid and waiting for the next wave of damage. So this is a fight with large amounts of spike healing, so it's important to understand how damage comes. The tanks take damage primarily from carts and from pirates, and the rest of the raid takes damage primarily from fire barrels. So you want to make sure you're alternating between healing the tanks and healing the raid. So if someone takes damage from, say, a fire barrel, you don't need to top them off right away, only if you have a spare moment, because they're not likely to take damage again right away. And same thing when you're healing the tanks. You can heal up the tanks some after the carts and the pirates and so on, but you really should be looking towards the raid to make sure that everyone's above about 2/3 health, because that's where you get killed by fire barrels. So at this point I realize that the load lifters are on Salim, and all of the carts are going to Salim since he has primary threat, so I'm basically just spam healing him. So I even pop supercharge and make sure that everyone is topped off as well as possible. So at this point we're getting ready in a few seconds to transition to another barrage phase. One thing that's important, you see here I use DPS on the boss because I have a spare moment. The raid's mostly topped off, so make sure you look out for those sorts of opportunities like I said at the beginning. Now I use energy shield here because I notice the load lifters are on me, and this way I take minimal damage. So we're getting ready to transition into the next mass barrage now. So if you're a Merc healer, it's a great time to put on Colto Shells because people don't take that much damage. In this case, I'm one of two Merc healers, so when I'm healing with Servali, the other Merc healer, I generally just let her take care of the Colto Shells. So as we come out of the transition, the tanks are taking a lot of damage, so try to make sure you stay near the tanks during mass barrage as much as possible. Otherwise, you should just be in the middle with the rest of the raid group. That way you do not get in the way of the tanks and cause excess damage. So the thing that will cause the most damage in this fight is if people get cleaved by the boss, either by walking in front of the tanks while they're trying to kite the ads around, or by pulling aggro. So you'll take much less damage in this fight if your tanks do a very good job of controlling the boss and controlling the ads. A few other tips. AoE heals I tend to find in this fight are most useful on the tanks. They would be even more useful actually if we had several melee DPS. We actually don't have any melee DPS in this video, so keep that in mind. And in general you're just repeating the same pattern over and over. So remember, don't panic just when someone takes a spike. You need to make sure that you're thinking ahead to the next spike, not the previous spike. And so at this point the boss is almost dead. We're just trying to make sure we survive the last set of barrage. I actually don't do a very good job at this point. I should have been healing people a little bit more and panicking a little bit less. But at this point, the boss is pretty much dead, and we get the achievement. So that's pretty much it. I didn't actually have to pop an adrenal or anything in this fight, so it was a pretty clean kill. Just remember, avoid damage, think ahead to the next spike, and good luck.